All right, everyone, thank you for being with us today and hanging in there after the last session ended. Welcome to CNBC's Small Business Playbook event. I'm your host, Shibani Joshi. Thank you so much for being with us today. We're thrilled to have you here. In this session, we're going to talk about how small and medium businesses have taken a mobile-first strategy to address communication concerns in these very uncertain times. Before we begin, we just want to let you know this is an interactive session. We do want to hear from you. So please utilize the chat box on the right-hand side of your screen to ask us questions, and we're going to get to as many of them as we can. And with that, let's start with a very quick introduction of all of our panelists, and then we're going to get right into it. First off, I want to introduce Eileen Aparis. She's a Vice President of Job Training and Education at Goodwill. Next, Hokanson. He's an executive vice president at HHI, a company specializing in construction and metal fabrication. And then lastly, we'll have McLain, the director of strategic solutions engineering at T-Mobile for Business with us. Thank you everyone for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to kick things off with Cliff. I want you to tell us about how your business has been impacted by the current circumstances and how have you been handling it?
I think that's it's interesting to see what happened. As we start seeing COVID kind of come into America, we were kind of excited because as a small business, we build a number of things, and the cruise ship that was stationed in Japan with the sick, afflicted people, they came home on a container that we built, a containerized biocontainment system that we built for the Department of State, and it was kind of exciting to see one of our products, and so it's kind of the first thing to see what we need to do, and we kind of started seeing our business being impacted in a number of construction projects because as we started to work on the construction projects, the supplies that we needed weren't being made because there were a number of factories that were shut down. They were one-of-a-kind products that were being made, so we could not get them. And so we've had to expand our reach and try to look at where we could go to find new suppliers, new vendors that could help us with basically to keep us in business and keep us going. And it's been kind of fun to meet new people and get new vendors from across the country and see what they could do. And they were excited when we call them and say, hey, we haven't worked with you before, but we're looking to build these new things. Can you help us with it? And it has been just exciting to meet new people and find new avenues for ventures and business. It's been great.
You have a very positive approach to it, Cliff, and that certainly helps. Eileen, what about you? What has been the biggest challenge for you within your organization and also from a communications perspective?
Sure. So it's, like everyone else, so we are a social enterprise. Our thrift stores located in 5 counties generate revenue for our job training centers. And so when COVID hit, like many companies, everything halted. It just completely stopped. We shut down all of our stores as well as all our job training centers. But we really had to find that fine balance of the economic and social impact side of our business because we are driven by our mission, which is job training. But at the same time, we also understand the impact of our business at the same time. So internally, we started looking at, okay, what can we do in the resources that we do have. So we did start having partnerships with the city of Seattle in helping them with the donations of pickups for PPEs. So we were able to get over 700,000 of PPEs and started donating them to really the first responders and essential workers. Then we had to really start looking at our job training and education centers because the community's need were drastically increasing. And so we had to pivot immediately in regards to what can we do virtually with all the social distancing as the social impact was increasing and the demand was knocking at our doors. We quickly had to pivot not only for our students in our community, but also our employees. So we started focusing on supporting our employees and students to really navigate the crisis of the pandemic and then help keep them on track with employment and also support services with the drastic changes.
Yeah, and it's even trickier because you have a lot of hands-on learning, as you said, and a lot of person-to-person communication, which makes things challenging in a virtual world. Zach, I want to move it over to you. What are you hearing? I know you have your ear to the ground and work with a lot of small and medium businesses regarding the current situation, how they're adapting their mobile and communication strategies. Tell us what you're hearing.
So it's been quite a struggle since COVID and the pandemic has hit our industry for the small businesses. You know, they're finding, and they're actually quite resilient, they're finding new and innovative ways to connect with their customers like they never have before. I think going into this initially, many people thought this would have short-term effects. We'd be back in business and maybe have to tough it out for a month or two, but that's absolutely not the case. Now we see situations where some are looking at 6 months or more before they can return to work. And then some of the larger companies out there, you've heard announcements where they may never ask their employees to return to work. So if I'm a small business, I'm immediately starting to think about what are my strategies for taking what I do through this time period and bring that directly to my customers, even including up to going to their homes and helping them directly, making deliveries where maybe that wasn't part of my business before. And a big part of that is, how do I initially connect with my customers to let them know that I have these new capabilities? Another part of that is, how do I serve them when I get there, right? How do I connect to them? How do I complete transactions? How do I deliver a service? Or in some cases, maybe create a brand new service that didn't exist before all this. So in a sense, this is a terrible time for our small businesses to go through, but with any change that we go through, there's always a lot of great opportunities that are available to small businesses that can adapt and react quickly.
And Zach, tell us about why small and medium businesses need to be focused on 5G. I mean, there are a lot of capital constraints that so many businesses are facing right now, so many strategies that they could employ. Why should employing 5G also be one of them?
5G is incredible and exciting. You know, there's a lot of hype around 5G, and it's really serving to supercharge mobility and connectivity in the marketplace. You hear a lot of people talking about it, but nobody really takes the time to explain what does that mean to the end user, to the small business owner, to the medium-sized business. So to understand 5G, you have to understand that we've been able to do everything up until now with 3G and 4G networks. What's the difference with 5G? And it's really more capacity and more speed. And so when I think about an environment where mobility is going to become something we're all much more dependent upon, there'll be many more users leveraging this for education at home, audio video conferencing like we're doing right now. That puts a tremendous demand on the network. And so 5G is important to make sure that all those great applications that we're already able to do continue working into the future. And you really need to start leveraging and thinking about 5G and making sure your services, your applications, your devices can all support 5G, so you can take advantage of that newer and better capacity that we make available.
And let's get some small business perspective on this. Eileen, what solutions have you come up to have your organization manage all of this? And I'm weaving in a question from Shashanth Mathur, who says, and what new ideas have allowed you to pivot in this circumstance? Because I mean, there's a lot of that going on, pivoting, but then idea generation as well.
Now, yes, it's definitely, you know, those two powerful words is pivot and creativity. And so, you know, there's also that kind of bootstrap mentality and being agile, right? And so our partnership with T-Mobile really helped us quickly mobilize within a month, really, to go mobile. And we quickly started to understand, okay, we have the hardware, but we really need to also understand the capacity and also the learners themselves. So immediately we became creative. We started creating training toolkits, workshops for tablet use, and including online videos, infographic handouts, at the same time, making sure that we drop off these tablets at ferries, our stores, our parking lots, and delivering them directly to the students. We also use whiteboards, you know, really going back to, you know, ABC and 1, 2, 3 and using the virtual and using whiteboards with that, Google Classrooms, phones, text, as well as, you know, calling. But at the same time, we were really mindful also in regards to the user themselves, our learners, our students and employees, because we had to really balance the digital divide. they're trying to understand, they're trying to be familiar with the hardware. And at the same time, we also have English language learners. So there's the interpretation and translation services just for basic English, and then at the same time, the English language for the hardware. So we had employment specialists, we had case managers, and we had tech troubleshooters also, just to be ready for any phone calls that we might have from our employees or students themselves.
Yeah, standing by, and there certainly are a lot of questions. One quick thing I want to ask from Hope Bertram, who has chimed in here, and we want to encourage everybody to bring questions to the chat room. We are going to be incorporating them all throughout this conversation. You've been asked, Eileen, what platform are you using for webinars?
Okay, well, Teams. We also have Teams, and then of course we also have Google Classrooms because it engages, and then we also have Zoom, but we're trying to keep it with Teams just for, again, one platform in itself for everyone to use. But then we're also learning that a lot of our young adult students like other platforms, and they're also trying to connect with social media. So we're trying to be creative to really meet where they're at and what they're most comfortable with.
There are a lot of programs out there, we know that, and they're only growing. Cliff, I want to turn it over to you. What about you? What solutions have you come up within your organization, and what has been the response? What has been the response of your employees, of your customers, of suppliers, of the changes that have been brought up?
That's a great question, because with our ability to build things, we either are building a building on site or we're building our manufacturing shop, and our vendors and our clients usually like to see what the progress is going and see how it's going. They want to meet with us, maybe make some changes or modifications. And it's been an exciting time because we tell them stay away, and they tell us to stay away. So we're social distancing or physical distancing, but we're still trying to get along. So with the ability to use a phone, an iPad, and be able to take that into our facility and show the client or show the subcontractor or vendor, this is what we're having a problem with and how we need to integrate. It has been just super powerful. And we are across the country with different projects. And as we're looking at different places, some of our places have said we had to keep the inspectors away. They still needed to inspect the progress. And so we've been able to use our phones and iPads in various different platforms, from FaceTime to whatever they have, Zoom, GoToMeeting. And we've used these platforms to make them aware of what the progress is. They've been able to inspect and check on things. It has changed the way we're doing things, which is great because it's a little faster now.
Yeah. And
one of the things that we do is, everybody's sitting at home. So they're home 24 hours a day. So now our engineers are available 24 hours a day. So we call them late at night or early in the morning, and they're basically saying, hey, time out for a second. This is family time. I'm at work during work time. But it has been extremely beneficial because they don't have to travel to where we're at to check on our work. And they've been able to do a lot more work. So maybe this is a plague that's helped change the way we're going to do business in the future. And with the technology aspect and having that ready, and T-Mobile's very beneficial to us because having the iPads and the phones ready to use, it's been fantastic. And our representatives from T-Mobile have been great to help us know what we could do, give us a little bit more insight on what the technology is out there, and take advantage of that technology and use it to basically better our business. And it's been great to have them on board.
It sounds like a well-suited partnership. Zach, I want to ask you, we've got a couple of questions from our audience members as well. Lou Bracamonte asked on this stage chat earlier today, what are the T-Mobile 5G initiatives for rural area businesses? Are there specific ones that are being employed and engaged right now?
Absolutely. So we have a 6-year plan to cover 99% of Americans, and that will definitely go into the rural areas to reach those levels or percentages. So right now we're in all 50 states. We cover a little over 1.3 million square miles in terms of land coverage, over 250 million, and we're in 7,500 different cities. So to take that to the next level, we're going to be expanding into hundreds, if not thousands, of additional cities in the rural space. We're very excited about doing that. And the combination of T-Mobile and Sprint together will give us the spectrum capabilities that we both companies have long been needing to be able to do that. And specifically T-Mobile's low band spectrum is really going to enable that airwave propagation over very long distances to cover those rural areas that aren't that densely populated.
Great. We have another question also from William Boren. Does T-Mobile for Business have AI chatbot service or AI chatbox apps available for small business owners that's similar to LivePerson, liveperson.com?
Hi, William. I think I answered your question in chat, but I'll restate it for everybody. It's not a standard offering that T-Mobile has, but the great thing about T-Mobile for Business is we have a number of solutions partners that we leverage that can do all kinds of things. Anything from an enterprise solution to solutions the smallest business would be interested in. So I'm very confident that we have an AI chatbot solution. What I'd suggest, if you may not have one, and we'll figure out ways to get you engaged, but if you have an account team, engage that account team, much like what Cliff was saying, and let us consult with you to find out what solutions we have available. I'm very familiar with the AI chatbots. I've consulted and deployed those for other customers. We use those internally. They're absolutely fantastic. So we want to get you connected.
Eileen, I want to ask you, what has been the biggest challenge in navigating this time? And on the flip side, the biggest opportunity that you've uncovered by doing so?
Well, the biggest challenge is always, making sure that hardware works for all learners and for the community and our employees, because we were not, we had to pivot quickly, drastically. And at the same time, we were completely unprepared of the impact and the demand in itself. But it also created an opportunity. Our biggest thing is to make sure that we don't create another barrier, for folks, especially when we become very technology heavy. And so the opportunity was we really had to pull back and realize there is a larger gap in the digital divide. We can really now go to where they are during just this time and more, and understanding that we can do mobile connectivity, mobile classrooms. We can also do mobile support services and really go to the rural areas as well as urban areas, areas that we have always wanted to go into, because a lot of times there's no connectivity or even support where they are. And so now with mobile connectivity, we are creating virtual training, virtual classes, virtual online support as well.
Cliff, I want to turn that to you. It sounds like in Eileen's case, they've been able to get reach that they weren't able to get thanks to mobile connectivity. What has been the impact of a greater reach within your business?
So it's been great to have the communication, especially right now during this last year where we needed the broad spectrum so we could get in, talk to our clients and everything, and to our engineers, and show them what's going on with the projects and the process. And it has been just, I guess from our standpoint, it's been very beneficial to have the tools. We already had our T-Mobile people have been helping us along the way before this happened to kind of get us prepared. So as the events started to unfold and we needed more and more connectivity, we were using them, and we were able to adapt, increase the number of devices, so we had a little bit more connectivity throughout either our manufacturing shop or out in our projects. And it has just been really good to have that technology. So we were carting on the wave before we needed it, which is great. I'm grateful we were in that position. That made it a little easier to transition and just to catch on and just to keep going. It's been good. So the people at T-Mobile, our salespeople were, I guess, spoon feeding us before we got here. So it was really great to have them as part of a team member.
Zach, we have a couple more questions here for you. One of them is specifically about expansion to Mexico and other countries. What can you tell us?
So expansion to network or into Mexico with our domestic network, we wouldn't do that because we're just simply not licensed to do that. However, we do maintain a number of roaming partnerships. We're always seeking to improve that and offer the best roaming experience, whether that be Mexico or anywhere else that you're traveling throughout the world. So you won't see our 5G network expanding there, but it doesn't mean we won't have an influence on it. And I'm not saying that we wouldn't partner or roam with 5G networks in those areas. I think we would certainly seek to do that, but those need to evolve a little bit more. I can happily say that in the domestic U.S. and we're leading the charge for 5G. We're trying to get out there in front of everybody else, and we certainly have the largest, most expensive 5G network available today.
Another question here is Zach from Will Huff. Do you see mobile plans covering IoT devices with devices having direct signal for 5G for business to just activate each one? Absolutely.
So 5G devices or any device that we're talking about, they will all support 5G in the future. And when I say that, 4G is not going away immediately. We still need 4G. It's the most widely deployed technology across the U.S. right now. So it's our workhorse, but 5G offers capacity. 5G offers additional coverage in the low-band spectrum that we're offering. So you'll see more and more IoT devices catch up to 5G. And that's going to be really important because 5G, part of it is capacity and be able to support a large number of devices. And we know when we talk about IoT, we're talking about thousands and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of devices deployed. So it's critical that IoT also support 5G. We'll absolutely do that.
Great. And we are wrapping up with our session in just a few moments. So I'd like to ask some final questions. Eileen, and then I'll turn to you, Cliff. What does the future for your business look like going forward? And what advice can you offer to other small and medium businesses that are facing some real concerns and constraints about their future?
Well, we are going to be more digital in our business, no matter what's, happens, whether we have a vaccine tomorrow, we can't turn back. So we have to start looking at expanding, because we have retail. And so we're looking also at e-commerce and expanding that even more. And then having our teams be more mobile and be digitally ready. And at the same time, we have to start preparing the future workforce to not just be, not to have just the basic digital literacy, but really to create access so they could be tech advanced and be prepared for the future. If we don't, we know immediately we will create larger disparities in the digital divide, especially for many communities of color. And so we have to find that balance, but at the same time, we can't all go digital and lose the human touch. And so we have to really find the balance of making sure that we still have that social interactions, with our shoppers, our donors, our students, our clients, our vendors, because there's nothing like in-person interaction. And
as we all know and are missing ourselves, yes.
And so the best advice, and we're learning is to find that balance and not create another barrier because of being technology heavy. Instead, create a hybrid approach as we are doing in person and also online, and not forgetting that human touch or even that facial expression. And most importantly, creating equity in digital literacy so that every learner has access and understands how to use technology instead of thinking, well, you have the hardware, you should figure it out from there.
An important social issue as well to push right now. Thank you so much, Eileen. Cliff, I want to wrap it up with you here. Any advice that you want to give to other SMBs out there?
So I've been thinking about this a long time. We've been in business almost 50 years and weathered a few storms in the past. I've been with the company almost 25 plus years. And the biggest thing probably for any small business is to plan, save a little bit. I know it's a good rule of thumb for the family, but it's also good for the business to set some money aside, pay for a rainy day. And when things happen and things get scary, having that little bit of security in a financial sense is good. And so that's one side of it. And the other side would be just plan for the future, seize the opportunity. The opportunity to jump in. I've seen a lot of companies jump in and do some new things. Mm-hmm. I actually have one of my scouts that I was Scoutmaster, and he started a new company in this crazy time, and he's thriving. He's got these little yo rings he does, and he's 18, has his little small business, and he set it up, and he's doing great. It's out of a garage, and it's interesting to see some people take the optimistic approach or the pessimistic approach. Yeah. Okay, this is gloom and doom, and there's nothing I can do, and I'm going to lose my business. And there's others who look at it and say, I'm going to be optimistic. I have a challenge, which means we have a better way. We can find a better way. We can build a better platform. We can build something better and take that challenge and just do something better and make it so our clients like it. And that's what we thrive on at HHI. We're always out there. One of our core values is innovation.
Yep.
And that's what we try to do. So I just recommend hunker down as a small business. Go find something that you can do and find somebody who wants it and get it done.
Well, I hear a lot of optimism from this panel. Thank you to each of you, Zach, Eileen, and Cliff. Thank you very much to all of our attendees and for the wonderful questions that you chimed in here as well. Don't forget to visit T-Mobile's Expo Room, where you can learn more about their 5G connectivity. It's available throughout the event today at the Expo tab. And now for the attendees, it's time to hop over to another room. Please click the main stage tab to view the next interview on the main stage. Thank you to everyone for joining us today. Have a great day.
Thanks everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.